I mean, Arizona sure looking for that sweet home loving in Alabama this weekend. Let's get it. Welcome into another episode of McHale Madness. And we thank you for taking some time on this lovely Wednesday evening. You got my guy, Corey Williams, Final Four compatriot out there in Tucson. I'm Saul Bookman, and we appreciate you joining. Also, shout out to a new member of the channel, Dr. Timothy Hodges, 2752. Thank you so much for becoming a member of this channel. Appreciate all the love. And as always, folks, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you have not done so yet. We got a lot to talk about. All of it is within the state of Alabama because that's really the epicenter of the Arizona Wildcats world right now, having just defeated Auburn and now heading out east to the southeast to play the Crimson Tide out in Birmingham. But Corey, let's rewind a little bit. Let's go back to the game on Saturday. Obviously, we got a lot of other stuff to get into tonight, but let's start there. When you watch this game, you and I were texting back and forth, and we both felt similarly about just how dominant Arizona was overall. But from your lens and your perspective, what was the thing that stood out the most?
I was excited to see Arizona play at home in a high leverage game. These neutral sites on the road games, the kids held their own, got a lot of tough wins. So to play a formidable opponent at home and let McHale Center kind of be at your back as if it were the win, so to speak, I thought that was a great opportunity for Arizona. So first, I was really excited and refreshed to see our kids playing in front of the home crowd. I thought they handled it well. When you talk about Auburn, they did everything you're not supposed to do in a big game like that. They panicked. They broke down into one-on-one possessions, quick shots, turnovers. And when Arizona was putting runs on them, they didn't have any cohesiveness. And I think when you play, whether it's tournament, neutral site, whatever, and a run takes place 5-0, 6-0, 8-0, somebody's got to huddle up the guys, slow it down, get to the line, get an easy shot. Auburn just never really looked like they could bring it back together. I mean, once they became unglued, it was over. And Arizona absolutely dominated them in the paint. They didn't have a credible big man defensively or offensively. And basketball is a very simple game. Usually the team with the better big man wins.
Yeah, and I think that was pretty apparent the other night in Tucson. I think there's a couple of things that stood out to me. First, I mean, like you said, Auburn wasn't able to handle the run of death, so to speak, that happened multiple times throughout that game by Arizona, right? Not only midway through that first half, but also coming out of halftime in that second half immediately. Arizona goes on something like a 22-2 run, and basically that was the game. Like Auburn had made an 8-0 run to close out that first half after being down by 20. It looked like, ooh, did Arizona, kind of mess around and let them back into it a little bit? That was absolutely not the case coming out of the second half. So you love to see that as Arizona making sure that, like, okay, they got theirs a little bit before the end of the half, but we're still good. The other thing I would say is I was – out of every player on that court, I thought that the 4 minutes after halftime by Ivan Karchenkov was just really, really good basketball, especially from a freshman, especially in McHale in that moment. I thought defensively, he was fantastic in that 4 minute stretch. Offensively, hit a big three, hit a little glass jumper. Also made a nice dish to Koa Pete underneath for a basket. I thought he had a really solid 4 minutes that I felt like just kind of really spurred that momentum on and let Arizona just really capitalize and go from there. And just Arizona's physicality, Stephen Pearl, the head coach for Alabama, was talking about, he felt like Arizona was uber aggressive, and that physically, probably before the a shot attempt, they were probably getting away with a lot. That's what he said. In my opinion, I was like, that's Big 12 basketball, baby. You got to step up and be physical. That's just how it goes, right? But I think Arizona is one of the best in the country at not drawing fouls at the rim. They go vertical almost every single time. You saw Pettiford try to penetrate multiple times and run into guys at the rim, fall back, try to get that foul. Not in this league. That's not how that goes, right? And then Arizona was off and running. I just thought overall that was their best complete game from beginning to end.
Well, I mean, it's a little bit comical to hear an SEC coach complaining about a physical game. I was at SEC Media Day, and they were all ranting and raving about how they had the deepest league in the country, the most physical bigs. Florida had the best backcourt. And here we are in December, and you're complaining that Arizona was getting away with a lot. Arizona went up to UConn, smacked them, went to UCLA, smacked them, smacked Auburn at home, smacked Florida. What did you expect? You have like literally 8 games of tape on Arizona to watch before you come to McHale Center. The fact of the matter is you didn't have the bigs to deal with Arizona's bigs. Krivas was a monster. Toby was a monster. Cole got whatever he wanted. We were driving the lane whenever we wanted. You simply didn't defend. So when coaches reach for officiating, I think it's 2 things. One, it's an easy reach. You can always reach to the officials. But then secondly, you're trying to smooth over some deficiencies that aren't apparent to the casual fan. Auburn has serious problems in the paint. When your best player is a wing player, we better be talking about an NBA level wing player. Or Tyrese Halliburton when he was in college, or a guy that it's gonna Buddy Hield. When your best player is a perimeter guy and you have deep tournament run aspirations or postseason aspirations, we better be talking about an NBA level guy. I don't know if Hall's that guy, but I could tell you when it came down to pushing and shoving, our guys ran the paint at both ends. I don't recall a ton of offensive rebounds for Auburn. Some good shooting, but other than that, they really had no chance to win that game once Arizona got up double digits.
Honestly, that good shooting only came from like one space, and that was Pettiford. I mean, he was dropping buckets in that second half, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Hall chipped in a little bit, but it was really just those 2 guys. Everybody else was non-existent. And listen, if you're going up against one of the best teams in the country with just 2 players, it probably ain't going to cut it. And even Keyshawn Hall didn't have a great game, but that's also because of the Arizona defense. I've seen Keyshawn Hall play several times. This is the first time where I looked at it and I was like, oh, I kind of understand why he didn't go to the NBA draft last season after the year, because there's some things that he needs to work on for sure. And those were glaringly obvious through the course of this game. It was also glaringly obvious the amount of talent that this team has in Arizona. Just a good, solid overall game. I thought the teamwork, passing was solid. After they stopped turning the ball over in the first half, they got off and running. In the early going, they were a little haphazard with that ball, and you'd like to see that clean up, and it will as the season goes along. But overall, good performance. Listen, you come to Arizona, you better be ready to go, and you better be at the peak of your game. And if that doesn't happen, you have very little chance to win outside of somebody going absolutely crazy in dropping buckets. So, but with that being said, it's time to move on to the other team in the state of Alabama, and that is the Crimson Tide. There is a lot to get into with this Crimson Tide team. A really good, solid team overall, 7-2 record. And we have listen, they have the number 2 strength of schedule, and we're going to break down their schedule here in a little bit. But before we get to that, on the surface, Corey, when you look at this Alabama team, what do you look at and think, okay, this might be a potential problem from Arizona?
For me, it's just an issue of take them and make them. I mean, they take a lot of threes, but will they make them? I mean, they're a kind of team where if they're knocking down their perimeter shot, then you have your hands full. there's no shame in losing to Gonzaga. There's no shame in dropping a game to who was their other loss? It was
Purdue.
Purdue. Well, yeah, Purdue. And there's no shame in that. I think the Gonzaga game was in Vegas. Those aren't bad losses, but I think it's going to be the same drill. Arizona's interior versus their perimeter shooting. I think Arizona has the clear advantage in the paint. They've got capable guards. SEC Player of the Week last week for the sophomore kid, but at the end of the day, can you get to the rim? Do we let you get open shots? Because I don't think there's anybody we need to double down on or pay much attention to in the post. So Arizona can try to come out and be big and play bully ball the same way they did with Auburn. Now it may be a different result. Maybe Alabama starts off a little hotter because hostile environment. But hey, been there, done that. We've been to LA. We've been to Storrs, Connecticut. We've been there. So that environment's not going to be that big of a deal. I think, to be honest with you, what scares me is, and I know we're probably getting off to topics we'll address later, but when you're the number one team in the country, the only thing that means and the only thing that can happen is you're going to get upset. That's it. You're number one. If you win, everybody yawns, but the upset is the only thing that can happen to you. And we'll learn very early in that game what kind of whistle Arizona is going to get. Will the referees allow Arizona to continue to be physical, or will they call a tight whistle and limit Arizona a little bit? We'll know right away. The number one team, big game. It's early in the season. Obviously, SEC, I don't want to say they've shown poorly, Saul, but they haven't lit the world on fire the way they were saying they was going to do at Media Day.
Yeah.
Their non-conference is good, but it isn't this, we're going to get 9 teams in the tournament crap that they were talking about, 2 months ago. So we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, overall, the SEC has had a poor showing this year. I mean, their top teams across the board have not met the level of expectation to their preseason rankings. I mean, that's just the truth. Florida, Auburn, even Alabama to a certain degree. Alabama hasn't gotten that signature big win yet, and that's why this weekend is really big for them, because this could be that one, right? They have the number 2 overall strength of schedule, but you got to win some of those games in order for that to really matter too much. And we look at Kentucky getting housed by Louisville. Like these are things that you just cannot have happen if you're going to sit there and tout that you're the best conference in the country, because I don't know, last time I looked, Iowa State just went down and mollywopped Purdue, the number 1 quote unquote post turtle in the country. And then,
you see, I be dropping knowledge on the show. I be telling people.
Houston continues to do their thing. BYU just had an epic comeback against Clemson last night. I mean, everybody's playing up to par in the Big 12
Texas
and holding
Tech's
their own.
Going to get some people,
And I hate to say it, even the team up north in my neck of the woods
went to the islands and got busy, didn't they?
I mean, they're playing good basketball. Like,
you can't knock it.
That was supposed to be the bottom dwelling team, and all of a sudden they're pulling off upsets left and right over Texas and whatnot. So
I'm gonna tell you right now.
Go ahead.
They were down like 20 something to the Zags. I had the game. They cut it to 5 with a 3-pointer in the air. And there was 6 minutes.
I'm not sure if that's my end or your end, or I don't know. Kiv?
Yeah, I think we lost Corey there for a second.
Okay, we lost Corey. Okay, I kind of stopped because I've been having internet problems myself all day. So I was like, oh no. But as Corey was the unfortunate pause on the face, we could just take him down real quick, and then we'll just get to my stuff real quick while we wait for him to come back. That was a little rough. But yeah, in regards to Alabama, and the SEC, like overall, like they have definitely not met the mark. Like they have got to play better basketball, and perhaps for them, and I know Alabama sees it like this, that this weekend is a great opportunity to A, pull off an upset, and B, really get a signature win to their liking. And so with that being said, Nate Oates was actually a member, or actually participated in the under 19 USA basketball camp this year with Tommy Lloyd. And this is what he had to say about Tommy and the difference in styles of the two teams.
If you had him on the show, you guys would love him. He's really good. Sometimes you compete against some of these guys and they're real kind of arrogant pricks, and you really want to kill him. But he's not. He's like the opposite. He's like great dude. I worked with him for 3 days out in USA basketball. He was the head coach. He did a great job. They won a gold medal. And, I got to know him a lot better, went out to some dinners and stuff this past summer. But it's one of those deals where you can have totally different philosophies and still win. He gets his guys to play hard. They're tough. They're physical. But, yeah, very distinctly different philosophies. Shoot, we just took 57 threes our last game. You double that, and that's what they got in 8 games pretty much. So they're taking 16 a game. We took 16 before the second media timeout last game, I think. So we're going to need to hit a few.
I mean, that's exactly it. Corey's back in the house. That Cricket Wireless it kicked back in, so we're good to go. But overall, the distinct difference here, and what everybody's going to be talking about and has been talking about, is Arizona in the paint and their efficiency in twos and field goal percentages inside the arc versus Alabama's penchant for the three. And just to give you an understanding, Alabama is 6th in the country in three-point shooting attempts, okay? Arizona is like 354, I believe, 3rd from the bottom at 16 a game. Alabama averages somewhere like 32, 33 a game, right? So wildly different ends of the spectrum in terms of that. Both very efficient with their offense, though. Both are able to perform at a high level. And one thing that Nate Oates said in that interview that I think people will not understand, because they look at the amount of twos that Arizona shoots and thinks, oh, they're a slow it down team. They like to be methodical. No. Arizona will get out and run just as much as Alabama will. They just go about it a different way and a more calculated way. So, Corey, nice to have you back. Oh, we can't hear Corey. So anyway, so Arizona likes to get out and run, and they can be as efficient as anybody else in the country. We know this. We've seen them do it multiple times. And if Alabama wants to try and get out and run with Arizona, they better hit the three, because if they don't, you could easily see a scenario where they get blown out at home against a quality Arizona team that can play defense, that can score down low, and consistency is really what Arizona is all about. And in the paint, they are as consistent as anybody in the country. So, and just to kind of tell a story, especially when you talk about the styles of play here, one thing that I love to point out, and this is why I think the plus minus stat is just absolute trash. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a fluke stat, in my opinion. But one thing that stats can sometimes deceive you in is an example of what you see with Alabama and Arizona. Okay, so let's go to rebounding. Okay, Kevin, that stat. Okay, so Arizona's rebounds per game is 16th in the country at 42.3. Alabama's is 42.7. But when you look at the rebounding rate, which considers the tempo by which a team plays, the speed by which the team plays, Alabama plays at a much higher tempo. They take shots earlier in the shot clock, way quicker than Arizona does, and that is all included in the rebounding rate. Okay, so their pace of play, they get more shots up, more opportunities. Thus, they're going to get more rebounds per game. So when you look at their overall efficiency, pull that back up one more time, Kevin. When you look at their overall rebounding rate, Arizona is actually 4th in the country at 58.3, whereas Alabama is 104th in the country at 52.3. So Arizona, with the opportunities it gets, is getting nearly a 60% clip of the rebounding share versus what Alabama does at 50%. So that's where stats can kind of mislead you when you look at, oh, well, Alabama's, a pretty good rebounding team. Check the box, timeout, hold up, go back, look at the games, see if your eyes are telling you exactly what's happening. And I guarantee you, when you look at Alabama, one of the things that they struggle with is the offensive glass. They have trouble keeping teams off the offensive glass, mainly because their size is inadequate. They've had some injuries, which we'll get to, but overall, Alabama is a good team, and they were considered one of the top tier SEC teams, and they still might be at 12 overall in the country. They're not a terrible team by far. It's going to be a challenge for Arizona to go in to Birmingham and pull out a win, but I don't feel like Alabama is 2017 Golden State Warriors just chucking and ducking and splashing threes and just going crazy. They're not that type of team. They're not the 1990 Loyola Marymount teams, the Lions back with Bo Kimball and whatnot. Shout out to all you guys that might understand that reference. One of my favorite teams of all time, with Paul Westhead in the run and gun kind of ideology there. But that's not what this Alabama team is. And so you will see when they play the tougher teams, those scores are not in the hundreds. They're not in the high 90s. And you can slow them down as long as you guard that 3-point line and force them to drive to the basket. You will have a good opportunity to beat Alabama, and Arizona can do that in spades. And they've shown they can do that. They've done that against every team in the country so far. Alabama's a little bit of a different animal, but not inconceivable to see them overcome a team like the Tide. So I'm really interested to see what that's going to present from a styles matchup standpoint, because I have a feeling people are going to be surprised when they see Arizona once again. And you saw it already earlier this week when Arizona was number 1 in the country and people were clamoring for Michigan, and the stuff that they were saying was kind of outlandish. It was kind of crazy. Like, have you not seen Arizona play? Arizona is a really good team. Now, Michigan is a good team too. And like we said earlier, or as I said on the postgame show the other night for PHNX Wildcats after the Auburn game, Stephen Pearl and Auburn have played both of those teams in Michigan and Arizona, and said those two teams are leaps and bounds ahead of everybody else in the country. So now that we have Corey back, Corey, you good?
Yeah, man. Cox cut my internet off, man. I ain't pay my bill.
Corey.
It's dude, my laptop died. I have 2 of them, so I had to swap it out real quick. That's my bad. The power just went out. I thought I'd be good, so my fault.
It's all good. It's all good. But going back to talking about what you were touching on before, I don't even remember what it was now anymore.
I was just talking about how we were in the middle of talking about how Arizona was better than expected. That's all. I was in the middle of talking about that. But yeah, I know you played a clip from the coach and didn't really get a chance to hear what he had to say, but it just seems like people have their own narratives and their own spin, but eventually, we have a segment called Ball Up Top, which we probably won't do tonight. But the point is, you're going to have to play ball. So you can talk about basketball any kind of way you want, but at the end of the day, you have to suit up and hoop. And Arizona has proven time and time again that they are the number 1 team in the country. Even though national championships don't get handed out in December, we'll take it. I'm cool with it.
Hey, if we go undefeated in a non-conference, I don't care. I don't care how we do it. As long as it gets done, cool. And this is really one of the last few tests that Arizona has, because San Diego State hasn't been playing great basketball this year. I expected more from them this year, and that game is here in Phoenix, so that's basically a home game for Arizona. So I don't imagine that's going to be too tough of a battle, but you never know. This game is the last one of the 5 that we talked about in the preseason. We said that they needed to win 3. They've won 4, and they could potentially win 5, all 5, which would be quite the feat for a team that had a lot of unknowns coming into this year. But you mentioned it earlier real quick. Sorry. You mentioned it earlier about like star talent, players got to play. Alabama actually does come in with a little bit of the unknown going on. They have 3 players right now, 2 of them that are starters that are a little banged up. You got Aiden Holloway, who is second in the team in scoring with 18.2 points per game. Taylor Bowman, 10.9 points per game. He's questionable as well. And then Caden Bristow, at 6.7 points per game, but also 7 rebounds per game. All three of those guys are questionable. They have another player in Collins Onyekiwa that is he's out for the season. He's not going to play. So these three players are questionable. Don't know if they're going to play or not. But if Aiden Holloway specifically, and even Bowen, you could say, do end up suiting up, that does change things a little bit for Alabama. If none of those guys suit up, it is going to be a tall task, because really the highest level score you got left really comes down to what, Philon and Bethea, and that's, I don't know if that's going to get the job done.
And I don't want to throw a damper on things, but allow me to be an old man for a few seconds here. What really sucks is there was an era in which, come hell or high water, you would tape up, you would get rubs, massage, injections, pills, whatever you had to do to face top-ranked Arizona coming in your gym. That was maybe 25, 30 years ago. Now, young men are so conscious of where they are in draft status. There will be dozens of NBA scouts at this game. And if a kid isn't 100%, they opt to sit out. Now, coaches won't ever go in press conferences and tell you this. They won't ever talk about it. Team doctors won't talk about it. Hell, players won't talk about it. But that's why you come watch McHale Madness, because me and Saul will talk about it. If a kid is not 100%, they'd opt to not play rather than to show poorly. This is the trend that's been going on the last 6 or 7 years in college basketball. So this questionable thing, it just boggles my mind, because I played with a fever. I played with a fractured orbital bone. I played with food poisoning. I played on a torn ligament in my ankle. I played because there was no way. You'd have to literally seatbelt me and strap me down to the bench to keep me from getting out on that court. But that was a long time ago. So whether these kids suit up or not, sometimes it's about the severity of the injury, and sometimes it's simply the player's call. These guys have entourages and families and doctors and handlers who say, hey, we're not playing this weekend. And they inform the coach if the kid is available. I don't know that that's what's going on at Alabama. I highly doubt that. But I've seen it at lesser schools, and it blows my mind every time I see it.
Lesser schools is like, that does blow me away. I will say this. I know for a fact that Arizona has players that aren't 100%, but they suit up every single night. They ball, because they love it. And I genuinely believe that. I mean, hell, even last week, Ivan Karchenkov had a bad ankle, somehow got ready for the game, and you didn't even know. Listen, these guys get bumps and bruises just like everybody else. But, obviously the severity of the injury is dependent on the individual, but it is what it is. Kev, do we have that schedule graphic by chance?
Yes. Which team did you want to look at first, Saul?
Well, let's take a look at Alabama. Alabama has the second toughest strength of schedule in the country. Now, at the time of these games, which is on the left, the rankings were, they played number 5 St. John's, number 2 Purdue, number 8 Illinois, number 12 Gonzaga, and number 1 Arizona. Okay, they lost to both Purdue and Gonzaga. They beat Illinois, beat St. John's, and now face Arizona. So when you look at their overall rankings, obviously St. John's is 22nd in the country, Illinois 13th, Purdue is 6th, and Gonzaga is 8th. So some of them got better, some of them got worse. Arizona's strength of schedule, which I was a little surprised about, was actually 12th in the nation at number 3, 15, 3, 20, and 12, obviously. And then the current rankings. So Florida's dropped off quite a bit from 3 to 18. UCLA's fallen back a little bit from 15 to 25. UConn's fallen back just a slight bit from 3 to 5. Auburn barely even moved after losing to Arizona, because that was expected, from 20 to 21. So overall, if you look at where those teams are ranked now, clearly Alabama has had the tougher road so far, but Arizona's handled business, and they've handled it pretty convincingly in some of these matters. So when you look at, we always talk about like preseason rankings don't really mean much. What are you doing now? When you look at Arizona's strength of schedule and where those teams are starting to find themselves, any concern that Arizona hasn't really played the elite of the elite yet outside of maybe UConn?
Not at all. I mean, how many people are going into UConn and getting a win? How many people are going into Los Angeles and beating Mick Cronin's team in UCLA? How many people, neutral site, are going to get the wins that Arizona's got? I mean, they're really good teams. They're all tournament teams. And what excites me about what Arizona's been able to do in these first 4 games against really stiff competition is we know for a fact everyone we beat is going to go on to play well. So we will have we will have 4 or 5 quality wins no matter what we do in conference play. And everybody's jockeying for positioning for the seeding in the NCAA tournament. But you want to beat somebody and then have them never lose again. So that win looks so great on your record. You don't want to beat somebody, then they fall off, and what looks like a big win turned out to be nothing because the team fell off. So I think Arizona's put themselves in a good situation. They've got quality wins over teams that will continue to perform well. When everybody dives into conference play, the teams we beat will be at the top of their conferences respectively. I think they'll all end up 20-win teams for sure. They'll all end up tournament qualified, they're tournament ready teams, so to speak. So yeah, that's what I think is good. You put in the work and then you just let the math be the math on the other end.
Yeah, for sure. When you look at this matchup, anything else that stands out to you? We touched on a few players that we thought were guys that you needed to really watch, but anything that you really wanted to bring up?
Let me give flowers where they're due when they're due. We had a conversation weeks ago about 22-9. Freshmen need to give Arizona 22-9. So I was running a few numbers and I pulled out the games that mattered, the 4 games, Florida, UCLA, UConn, and Auburn. And swiping out Aristotle, who I honestly thought was going to have more contribution at this point than he has, and replacing him with Karchenkov, the freshmen, Koa, Braden, and Karchenkov, 26 and 14. And that's nice. Those 3 guys, freshman input in the 4, well, I'm going to say in the 4 real basketball games Arizona's played so far, the freshmen are contributing 26 and 14. That's a lot of points.
I actually thought it would be higher than that.
Well, you got to front load because
Braden's numbers.
Braden pulled it down because he's had 3 points, 5 points, 4 points, and then 16. Karchenkov, 12, 4, 8, and then 12 again. And then Koa, 37, 16, and 18. So Koa is going to be anywhere between 18 and 20. Even when Big 12 starts, he's going to give you 18. I think Karchenkov can give you 10, and he can also give you 5 or 6 boards. The question is the rhythm that Burry's found against Auburn. Can he recreate that rhythm in those opportunities against Alabama?
I think he can.
I think he can too. I think it's, it's like riding a bike. Once you got it, you got it. And he's always been aggressive. He hadn't backed away from his shot, but he was able to defend without fouling, get some quality minutes, and then he started seeing the ball go in. And that it's more for him, it's all psychological because everybody knows the skill set is there. He's just got to figure out how to score at the college level. And to be honest with you, for him to have figured it out in just a handful of games, in under 10 games of his college career, that's pretty impressive. It took me a year and a half to figure out where the good shots were and how to get them. He's definitely on a much more accelerated pace than guys like me ever were. So he's figured it out, how to score, how to stay out of foul trouble. And I think, the sky's the limit for him going forward.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Tommy said that it wasn't about like him slowing the game down or anything like that. It was about finding the right rhythm in a game. And the season, even the season as a whole, you gotta get into a flow and a rhythm that suits yourself and it makes you feel confident and good going into a game. Corey, I know this, like, sometimes you start off a season and things just aren't clicking, whether you be a freshman or not. Sometimes it's just a little off. You maybe just don't have that right bounce, or things just feel a little too mechanical sometimes. And then all of a sudden you find yourself in a groove, and it feels like the ball is water.
And it's, for me, it's weird because I tell people this all the time. I had a really good career. I'm very grateful and thankful for the career that I had. I was the man in high school, bench player, role player at Arizona, kind of one of the men my senior year. And then I played 12 years pro where I was the man every night. So I've played every position on the team. I've been a role player. I've been a bench player. I've been a freshman. I've been the go-to guy. I've been the team leader, the team captain. I've done every gambit. And when the game starts, you can go into your own world and say, hey, I'm not having a good game tonight. I'm not playing well. I'm struggling. And you're kind of evaluating the game from your own personal perspective. Or you can lift your chin up and look around and say, man, what's going on? What's happening outside of myself? I think that's where Burries is right now. He's no longer focused on himself. I don't think he ever was focused on himself, but I think now he sees what's going on. Okay, they're in a 1-3-1, so I need to move to the corner. Okay, this is a transition opportunity. Let me fill the lane, get the ball, and attack the rim. He's actually looking at the whole game now, and his scoring opportunities, he's beginning to understand and decipher where they are. Because when you're just looking inside and say, man, I missed my last 3 shots. Well, how did they come to you? What were the circumstances? What was the situation? Learning situations and when it's coming your way, that's a key. And I think he's found that. And like you said, Tommy said it wasn't about slowing the game down, but I think he's changed the way he looks at the game. He knows, okay, I got the ball on a skip pass. It's a great opportunity to penetrate and pull up. Maybe he wasn't thinking that way 3 or 4 weeks ago, but I love his pull-up game. I love the way he shoots. I like the way he attacks the rim. He likes to get to the free throw line now, which is easy money. I mean, Kurchenkov kind of shows you the way. Just be physical and get to the line. So I think the things that he's learning, he's going to keep with him.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, overall, I think the freshman class, I'd say the 4 freshmen, Aristode, Kurchenkov, Pete, and Burries, have played at a high level. I think Aristode even is starting to get into the flow of these games. Had a good solid outing the other night again. He's putting good solid reps on the court. And when I say solid reps, that doesn't mean that he's scoring at a high clip or none of that. It means like the total package of his game, defensively, IQ wise, spatial awareness, all these things. Is he doing what's being asked of him? And from my perspective, Aristode is certainly doing that and contributing at a high level along with the other ones. And Koa always astounds me because I always feel like he's just big game Koa, right? When we play against these kind of lesser teams, if you will, he just kind of he goes about his business. He doesn't really try to do too much. He just kind of plays the game. And if he gets 4 points, he gets 4 points. If he gets 14, he gets 14. He doesn't really care. He's not a stat stuffer type of individual where he's just worried about his own stats. But when we play against those big dogs, like his level of play ratchets up, and it's immediately apparent that he's ready for it, which I love. And that's not necessarily that. Jaden's kind of going about the same way, which is really odd that you would see a freshman and a senior both kind of mirror each other in terms of their performances against teams that are lesser. But to me, that just tells me that those two absolutely understand that everybody else has got to cook and get to a high level if we want to get to where we want to go at the end of the season. And man, it's just, it warms the heart to understand that you have a freshman and senior that see eye to eye like that, in my opinion.
And speaking of getting to where we got to go, I've got a homework assignment for Kev. I believe, and I think Kev can track this for us.
The children.
I believe. What's that?
That the children are our future.
I believe that too. I always believe that. Shout out Whitney Houston. And Bobby to a lesser extent.
Or sexual chocolate, whatever.
Yeah. So I believe that the rotation is set. I believe that the minutes and the doors and the opportunity for extended playing time has closed. Tommy will tell you different, but I did the Norfolk State game and they were up by 30 and only 8 people had played. There were 3 bench guys with their tops off and their 5 on the court. And I thought to myself, damn, they're up 30 and he's only played 8 and he ain't looking to put nobody else in until the other coach waves the white flag. And I thought about it and I said, well, you know what? That's kind of weird because you would think this is a free-for-all, get everybody wet. But when you're playing for something bigger, like what you said, getting to where you got to get, I believe Tommy Lloyd, and we talked to him before that game, and we're talking about how he delegates and lets the assistant coaches, have some say and be more involved. And he was kind of laid back and let his coaches do a lot. And Tommy quickly jumped in and corrected us. And he said, no, that used to be me, but that's not me this year. This year, I'm way more hands-on. with everything. And that stuck out to me because it let me know what Tommy really thinks of this team. We all know going in right now, December 10th, Arizona can beat anyone in the country. I'd like to see them against Houston, but that's the only other team I need to see them play. I don't need to see nobody from the SEC because they all play the same. I need to see them against Houston and Iowa State. But even when I see them in those two games, I already know those are going to be 4 or 5 point games one way or the other, both great teams. Tommy knows that this team can beat anyone in the country. Tommy knows what he has, and he's willing to say, you know what? I need my assistant coaches to fall back, and I'm calling all the shots. And we're going to tighten this thing up by the end of December, and we're going to be ready to roll because this is our loaded gun. This is our chance. And you and I, years from now, are going to be sitting at a sports bar, you and me, and we're going to have a conversation about, man, you remember the year where we had Jaden Bradley, Brandon Burries, Koa Pete, Big Crevis, and we had Tobe, and we won the national championship, or we got beat in the Sweet 16, or we get beat in the Elite 8. But make no mistake about it, this team is loaded. When's the last time you or me could say all those names on one team? This is your moment to grab the brass ring. And I think Tommy knows that. And I think when you look at minutes per game, I don't think it's going to change. I think the rotation is set. The 8 players that are playing, he's preparing for conference play. He wants a number 1 or number 2 seed in the tournament. He knows he has the height. He's got the experience. He's got the explosive freshman. He's got the best point guard in the country. Last year's team was Arizona can play with anybody if Caleb Love has a hot night.
Yeah.
We don't got to say that this year because we had games where I was doing the Norfolk State game. Jaden Bradley only took 1 shot because he don't care about Norfolk State. He don't care. I want to make sure everybody else eat. What do I look like going for 20 against Norfolk State? Whatever. I'd rather get 16 against UConn. I'd rather get the last 8 of the game against UCLA. I'd rather, close the door on Alabama or Auburn. That's his mentality. So you've got this team of experience, youth, talent, All-Americans, future NBA players. You've got a legitimate 7-footer. You've got who until I see somebody bigger, he's the strongest player in college basketball in Toby Awaka. He literally moves people out of the way with just moving his arm. It's amazing to watch him play. This is a rare combination for Arizona, and I think Tommy is not going to mess around. I think he's seen enough, and he knows who his 8 dogs are, and he'd rather get his dogs rep than try to increase the depth. Now, that's just me saying that. I don't have any confirmation from the program. Haven't talked to Tommy Lloyd about it, but when you're up 30 against Norfolk State and only 8 guys are playing, it sends a message to me as an analyst. We tweaking the engine. The engine's already built. The car's ready to go. We not adding no parts to the car. It's done. We just tweaking some things.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, man, he is through. And I don't like using this word. He's through giving people minutes. You might go in because somebody needs a rest. But as far as I'm just going to play you and hope you turn it on, I'm just going to give you minutes. And I'm so glad that Burries found himself on the other side of that bubble. Not that I felt like Tommy was never going to go to him, but if we were still getting 2 and 3 point games out of Braden Burries at this point of the season, you and I would have some serious conversations, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? That 16 at Auburn, that made everybody be like, "Ooh, man, okay, so this kid does have the goods."
Yeah.
Because 3 points against Florida, 5 points against UCLA, 4 points against UConn, and you playing over 30 minutes? Nah, bro.
Yeah.
We can get in minutes. We can get in minutes to Aristotle. We can get in minutes to Christian. We can get in minutes to a lot of people if that's what you're going to turn in. So I think Tommy's tightened up the rotation. I think the majority of minutes are going to be split on those top 8 guys. Obviously, injuries, that changes things. But Tommy's looking for his 8 guys that are going to do the heavy lifting. He knows he has a fine-tuned machine that can make a deep run. He's more hands-on this year than he's ever been. That's out of his mouth. That's not me saying that. He said that. So he wants to be the one, substitution patterns, game plan, strategy. because I think Tommy Lloyd really knows deep down. He was a part of some very special teams at Gonzaga, so he knows what a champion looks like in December. He knows what a champion looks like in January, February. He knows what he wants these guys to look like. They may not know because they've never been there before, but he has. So, yeah, I would love Kevin to track average minutes, up to this point, because I think it's going to stay locked in that area for the rest of the year. If you haven't shown Tommy what you can do by now, you're probably not going to get a whole lot of opportunities going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of felt like that for a while too. He doesn't like to. He's usually a 7-8 type of guy in terms of the rotation. And the great thing about this Arizona team is they have balance and they have subs at every position.
Right.
So Burries can play the point if Jaden needs a break. And then they can pull in ADO, they can pull in Aristode, they can rotate out. Karchenko can take a break. Like every guy can rotate for another guy at some point. Awaka, Krivas, Pete, they can all rotate. One of the interesting things is, and that kind of leads us into this next portion. I got a question on Twitter about Michigan and how Arizona would match up in Michigan. And this is from Unearned Challenge. And their question was different topic, but would love you and Corey to discuss on your podcast whether it would be viable to play Pete at the 3 alongside Krivas and Awaka. I only bring it up for a hypothetical matchup versus Michigan. And here's what I'm thinking. Krivas at 7'2", Awaka 6'8", Pete 6'8", Burries 6'4", Bradley 6'3", versus Michigan at 7'3" for Mara, Johnson 6'9", Yaxel 6'9", Cadeau 6'1", Burnett 6'5". And listen, I think an Arizona-Michigan matchup, hopefully would only happen in the national championship. B, would be fantastic because both teams are playing at such a high level and they're good basketball teams that can beat you in a variety of different ways. I have long wanted to see the Pete, Awaka, Krivas matchup because I think at some point we will see that. And I really am fascinated to see how that may or may not work. I think the one team in the country that I feel it in my bones, Corey. I feel it in my bones. I feel like the first time we might see something like that, to me, would be against Houston. I think against Houston, you might see a little twist of that for a couple minutes just to see how it goes. If you haven't seen it maybe before, maybe against a BYU.
I understand people looking at heights and trying to draw parallels. We got to get the same size lineup out there as they do. And that's just not how basketball goes. Koa Pete has settled in at the 4 position. I don't give a damn if they're 4, their other 4 6'11". Wasn't he dropping off 6'11" power forwards against Florida?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't care who you come out with. Koa Pete is used to playing the 4. You move Koa Pete to the 3. A, he hasn't been practicing like that for the last 2 months. B, now he's got it. Well, you can't really get a competitive situation in practice anyway because your team's really only 8 deep. So 5-on-5 is a joke at most high-level colleges. They don't even play 5-on-5 in practice. My point is, putting Koa Pete on the perimeter, now you expose him to foul situations that he is not used to. Now he's switching out on 1s and 2s and 3s where he hasn't really, he can do it, but is that really what he wants to do? And once you pull the ship away from the dock and you're out there and the season started, you don't really retool a whole lot, no matter who you play, because one, it destroys whatever rhythm your team has. And I'll just end it by saying this. My sophomore year, I wasn't ready to replace Chris Mills as the classic Arizona small forward. If older people who may remember those teams, Reggie Gary started as the small forward. He was a 6'2" point guard, and he was a better defender than I was. And we started 3 guards, Damon, Khalid, and Reggie. And everybody thought that was suicide in the Pac-10. Reggie's not a small forward, but Reggie was a defender. And when we played Kentucky down to the final shot of the game in Maui, we realized we could beat a lot of people with just coming out how we are, making you adjust to us. I saw Reggie Gary shut down Jalen Rose in McHale Center. Shut him down. He was talking to himself. Couldn't get a shot off. It didn't matter that he was 6'9". So when you talk about matching up, what you're really talking about is how can we put our best foot forward against this team? I say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Respect what Michigan's doing. Respect their size. Now, if they're killing us on the glass, then yeah, you have to go big. But you always let the game unfold and see if that other coach and those other players can force your hand. This is not the NBA. The NBA, you come out for the jump ball, they look across and they see a mismatch, and that's how they start the game right off the bat. It's all about matchups. College basketball is much different. If you've got, and we saw this with Florida, Florida has a kid that's 6'9", 6'10", but he's a pick and pop kid. He never posts up. You can guard him with somebody 6'4" because he's never going in the paint. So it's like, you go, you dig a little deeper. The Michigan game was going to be a hell of a game regardless of the lineups. But my point is, don't rock the boat. Our lineup has gotten us to the number one team in the country. We damn sure ain't going to change that for nobody. Yeah. And if we do change it, it'll be an in-game adjustment that we probably have talked about, in case of emergency, we'll go with this lineup. But when we come out there, we coming out there the same way we've been rocking and rolling for the past 2-3 months.
Listen, I don't disagree. I follow the same line of thinking. I'm thinking more of like, this is a potential lineup at some point that you could utilize. And I do think that Tommy, listen, I think this team would tell you that Tommy likes options. And
so who goes to the bench when Toby comes in? Is that Krashenkov goes to the bench, right?
Well, yeah, Krashenkov.
Yeah. And then you've got, it could work. It could work, but I mean, Koa could play the 3. I mean, I'm not going to say he'd be in trouble playing the 3.
No, I don't think he would at all, because I think he has the athletic ability to be able to handle it, and he could handle the ball out there on the perimeter as well. If you're going to put the 3 out there on the perimeter like that, like he's perfectly capable of.
Here's the other thing. You saw this last year with Henry Visar over there getting $1 million in North Carolina. He had the benefit of being in ball screens with Caleb Love. What are you doing? You have to show, right? You have to step out. Visar dives, and they're throwing it up at the rim, and he's dunking on everybody because of who he was setting the screens for. When Tobe Awaka sets screens, you can trap the hell out of Caleb Love or whoever, because Tobe is not a threat on the roll. He's not a threat on the lob. So when you go with a big lineup, you take away certain things, because Koa Pete and a Jaden Bradley screen is some NBA level stuff. What are you going to do? Oh, we're going to go underneath. Okay. Jaden going to dot your eye. Oh, we're going to fight over. Okay. Jaden's down the lane. Oh, we're going to trap. Okay. Koa Pete on the pop to the elbow. That's 2. Like, you have nothing for that. So Koa Pete setting screens at the 4 presents a whole different set of problems for kids than Tobe at the 4. A lot of people were fretting when Arizona played Oregon last year because Tobe was sitting on the bench. And I was trying to tell people it's because of the matchup. He won't put him in because he knows they will trap everything if Tobe's out there setting screens. But if Visar is setting screens, then Caleb can get downhill, couple layups, or they go underneath and Caleb stuck a 3. And Caleb got us over the hump because of who was setting screens for him. And it's high-level stuff, and I love that part of basketball. I love the intricacies of it. But I learned very early on that if you can't shoot, you have no business screening for people. Because you're just bringing another defender over there. So it's one of those deals. But anyway, I like our lineup, but I think that you're right. Tommy does like flexibility, and who knows what they're working on behind closed doors. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they do have a Koa Pete at the 3 package that they will unveil. They're going to have to do it, and eventually, because the Big 12 is physical, and there'll be a night where Krivas is going to get too early, and there's going to be a night where it'll happen, and we'll get a chance to see it then.
For sure. One little side nugget and a little prediction. Braden Burries, to me, will have a big game. And that big game will come via either the top of the key 3 or midi, because Bama's bigs like to play a little drop coverage. And they ain't going to do that against Jaden, because Jaden's too good of a mid-range shooter right now for them to even toy around with that. Braden Burries is going to have an opportunity to be able to get some buckets against the Crimson Tide on Saturday.
Here's the thing that coaches won't tell you. Nobody likes to play drop coverage.
No, they have to.
You have to. Your big men have feet that are in cement. They can't move. So your only option is to play drop coverage. And if he's clumsy, you don't want him out there trying to hedge and pick up a foul 30 feet from the hoop. You pray you don't come across a kid who can shoot behind the screen. So, yeah, man, it's going to be a battle of wills. I mean, they may play some drop coverage, and if Arizona can make them pay early, and that's one other thing I know we're wrapping up. I'm so tired of people talking about Arizona's 3-point shooting.
Oh, same.
If we can shoot 65% from 3 feet away and you can't stop that, we're never even going to find out if we can shoot threes or not. We don't even care. So you up here talking about Arizona only took 5 threes. How many twos did they take, bro? How many free throws did they take? It's like, oh, all you are body blows and right crosses and uppercuts. You don't have a jab. Did we win on points? Did we knock your ass out? What are we sitting here discussing? Now, when somebody forces us to shoot and Arizona goes 2 for 19, then we can talk about whether or not Arizona can shoot the 3. But just because they don't do it, and just because you don't see it, I don't think it's noteworthy. I think Arizona's going to beat you the way that you present. That's the easiest to beat you. If you don't have any bigs, then game over.
Yeah.
So people nitpicking about the 3-point shooting, Arizona's not a 3-point shooting team. I'd be terrified. Because you know what that reminds me of, Saul? Back when guys like you and I used to play pickup. And we was out there playing to get to 11 or 15, and there was no 3-point line. Everything was one. And it's call your own foul. So you know everything's to the rim. Everything. Ain't nobody shooting jumpers in pickup. Nobody shoots jumpers in pickup. So when you play a team that doesn't shoot a lot of threes, what are you telling your guys during film session? Guys, when they catch the ball, they're coming at you. They're not just going to catch and shoot. They're going to catch, turn, and come right into your chest or go attack one of your shoulders. And you're going to have to move your feet all night long. These guys don't shoot jumpers unless we make them. That's a daunting task for anybody to play 40 minutes against a team that gives it to their bigs, that attacks the rim nonstop. And even when they miss, it's 3 white jerseys going for the offensive rebound. So miss me with the 3-point shooting, and we'll do it when we need to.
Facts. One last thing. I want to kind of do like a little bit of a palate cleanse or maybe just a decompression session at the end of these shows. Maybe I'm just going to get myself all pissed off. We'll figure it out. But this is a clip that I ran across on Instagram, and it gave me the most PTSD. This team is stalling in the game. It's it's during the season. They're just stalling. It looks like they're huddling up, but what they're doing is they're just passing the ball around to each other in a huddle on the court and trying to stall out the game. That's all they're doing. And I saw this, and Corey, I kid you not. I kid you not. It's 1997. February 1997. It's the first round of the state playoffs. Marcos Deniza, number 1 team in the state, playing against Westwood, who had a 500 year. They were terrible. They weren't very good. We were a zone match. We were a zone team. We didn't play a lot of man-to-man. We played 1-3-1. And Saul was not a very good man-to-man defender anyway, right? And I was at the top of that 1-3-1. And so we come out, we get a bucket. We're up 2-0. They come down like they're going fast break. As soon as they cross half court, whoop, 4 corners. Just lobbing it over me. Back and forth. I didn't know what to do for like half the dude. We got to the end of the first quarter. The first quarter score was 4-2. The final score of that game was 21-20. We won by 1 point. And I swear to this day, and I wish I knew the guy's name. Props to Westwood, because that was the only way they weren't going to get boat raced in that game, because we were blowing teams out. We played at a fast pace. But they shot a ball at the buzzer, or they shot a ball, went off the rim, and then their big tipped it in at the buzzer. And I swear to this day, the referee that blew the whistle, and I don't know if I have any Westwood peeps that follow me or anything like that from back in the day, but the referee that blew the whistle, I used to play pickup with him down in Phoenix, and I swear he hooked me up with a solid, man. He hooked me up. I was like, oh my God, thank God I know this guy. Because
Wait, he waved it off, or he said it was good?
He waved it
Oh.
off. He said it was after the buzzer, and there was no way for me to tell.
So
we won, but that
that's
is the weakest.
bro. That is absolutely disgusting.
It makes me mad.
It's just such against the spirit of competition. If you don't have a good team, and you have a team, you play a team that's a good team, and you go out there and you get your butt kicked, there's a lesson, there's growth, there's development in that butt kicking, and you're depriving your kids of that. If you're focused on winning the game and you think that you're evoking some type of super strategy that involves the actual non-playing of the game, you want the result of winning, but you're not actually going to use any athleticism to play the game, then what are we doing? You know what this is like, Saul? It's like during the pandemic when people were working from home and they would go buy those little machines that you could put on your mouse pad that would move it and track and pretend like you were actually working. When you're working from home, there are these devices, you put it on your mouse and it moves every so much so that the bosses who monitor your screen time and your mouse activity, it tricks the system. So you're getting a paycheck and you're not actually working. When you have idiots, and I will use that word till the day I die, when you have idiots that look at a group of young people and say, stand in a circle and hand the ball off back and forth, and we will consider this playing basketball. You, sir, you, ma'am, are unworthy of coaching young people. Hey guys, slow it down. I just did a game last night. University of San Diego hosted USC, and we were thinking that they were going to get beat pretty bad pretty early. They forced 13 turnovers in the first half, knocked down shots, and scrapped tooth and nail. It was tied at halftime. Those kids left everything they had out there on the court for Coach Steve Lavin. Second half, UCLA or USC got away from them, ended up winning by 17 or 18. No, actually ended up by 14 points, something like that. My point is, eventually it became a 20-point game. But the kids showed up and they fought hard, and you didn't disrespect them. They were overmatched, sure, but it took 30 minutes for them to become overmatched. Yeah. And I think when you cheat kids and you do crap like that, you don't deserve to be coaching. I remember crying like a baby in 8th grade. We lost the last game of the season. My 7th grade year, we were 18-0. Last game of the season, we were 17-1. That pain was a motivator. That frustration was a motivator. I would never get rid of the good or the bad moments in basketball. My freshman year in high school, we got slammed by 40 in the second game of the state tournament. My sophomore year, we got beat again. Same school, different gym. My junior year, we ended up going downstate because we got blown out the 2 previous years. Do you know what it's like to walk into a gym and see a bunch of guys that blew you out by 25 in the state tournament? And now you're playing pickup and you're killing them, but it doesn't count. It only counts when we got our jerseys on. That fuel, that energy, that toughness, that development. Why would you cheat kids out of that?
Yeah.
You're not getting a job. The Knicks aren't hiring. You're not getting an NBA coaching job, bro. You're not getting a JUCO coaching job. So why are you teaching kids to do crap like that? See, Saul, now you got me mad. And it's 8:00 on the win. I need to be going to bed. Got my blood pressure all worked up. But no, that was trash. That was absolute trash for sure.
I'm absolutely right there in lockstep with you. I've seen it too many times where, listen, I think to your point, it is correct. Like if you don't know how to coach, then don't coach. And this stalling technique is not coaching. It's just a way to bypass the system to try and get an easy dub or to try and make it look like the game was closer than it really was because you don't have the athletes to be able to participate. And to your point, Corey, yes, throughout life, and that's the great thing about sports. It teaches you how to deal with adversity at a high level. You get beat. How do you respond from that? In life, one of the things that you have to teach young people is, okay, when you get knocked down, how do you respond? How do you get back up? Do you come back with class? Do you come back and continue to work at your trade? Do you continue to work and put in the effort to improve in whatever it is that you're trying to improve? Or do you just give up? Or do you try to cheat the system and come up with a different way to go about doing this instead of the way that has been tested and proven? So wrong message to the kids, but overall, you got to win.
And lastly, if you're a coach, if any coaches out there, there's a lot of ass kicking phrases you can use to kind of let everybody know you about to get your ass kicked. Because when coaches start talking about they put their pants on one leg at a time, just like us, and that's when you know you about to get your ass whooped. When you start talking about them, you got them cliches out there. Well, you know what I'm saying? They got 2 arms and 2 legs, just like we do, and we're gonna stand up and show them. You about to lose. But go ahead and take the L, because there's a lesson in that. There's growth in that. There's no shame in that. You're not gonna win every game, but don't cheat your kids out of playing the game. That's just, I don't get it. There's nothing wrong with strategy. Hell, go zone. If they can't shoot, go zone. If you've got a great pick and roll, use whatever options you have. If you're overmatched, fight as hard as you can and give a good press conference after. But to play handball for 48 minutes, that's just stupid. I literally would have walked off the court. I'd have pulled my team.
I remember coaching girls high school basketball in Colorado about 10 years ago. And this was their first year in varsity. And we were playing in a tournament. And the tournament had like legit like 4 or 5A, good high school basketball teams. And I had a 3A squad, and half of my squad was freshmen, right? So I knew like we are not prepared for this whatsoever. And we got the doors blown off of us for 3 straight games. And I had a parent come up to me and be like, "Do you even know how to coach?" And I'm like, first of all, sir, with all due respect, you have no idea what you're talking about. Okay.
Right.
Can you not see the talent on the court? Like, come on, man. Like, don't even put me in that position, right? This is off away from the kids. What happened? We started off 2-6, and we just put in work. We put in work. And then we came back in that second semester. We didn't lose a game the rest of the season. 11-0 for the rest of the year. We finished off 13-6. Hey, everybody will learn the lesson. Like, hey, so this is how you bounce back. So anyway,
and our run down, like I said, our run down state in Hoop Dreams was sweeter because of those butt kickings, those girls that remember those blowouts and being overmatched, the emotions that stirs up in them. It may not even come out in the basketball court. That may come out for her 10 years later at her job, where she buckles down and makes a difference. You never know where that's going to turn around and come out and help a kid. So all this trying to manipulate the outcome to protect the kid's ego or to protect the parents' egos, that's not what sports is designed to do at all. So anyway.
Agreed. Anyway, on that tangent, we will leave you to enjoy the rest of your week. And hopefully the Wildcats will win on Saturday. Also, shout out to Arizona football Holiday Bowl. That's fantastic. I'm actually going to go because it's San Diego in January. Like,
I just came back from there this morning. Nice setup over there. Real nice.
There you go. So you can follow him at College Corey on Twitter and on Instagram. You can follow me at Saul_Bookman. And make sure you follow my guys, Kevin Damon, who do a fantastic job on PHNX Wildcats as they give you the post game from their home studios as Arizona takes on Alabama on Saturday. Until next time, folks, we love y'all. Bear down. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.